What's it like to be a Chicago police officer right now?
It's difficult. It puts you in a very compromising situation.
Challenging. You got the political climate that really dictates how we police. It's a very tough profession at this time.
Jeff, a patrol officer who comes from a cop family. Latasha, a beat cop who's worked districts all over the city. And Paul, a sergeant. 3 African-American cops with more than 60 years experience, shooting from the hip about policing in Chicago.
If you have not been to police, you don't truly understand it.
We're hiding their faces and changing their voices and names so they can speak freely without fear of retribution from their bosses or the public.
The climate with the citizens, they're hostile. So a lot of times before you can even deal with whatever the request was that they call the police for, you got to put the fire out because they're hostile toward the police in general, even though they call the police.
They say years of anti-police public sentiment sparked by high-profile police shootings has put a target on their own backs. With 27 Chicago police officers shot at so far this year, 4 of them hit.
People do not respect authority.
But they also say they understand the anger.
I do understand the hostility. It just makes our jobs very difficult.
I believe that the black community has proper cause to mistrust the police based on the police history with blacks in this country. That being said, we can't lump every police officer in the same bunch. We have so many great police officers from all nationalities out here doing the job correctly.
And they worry they've been undercut by politics.
You feel you have the support of City Hall?
Absolutely not.
And isolated.
When you feel like you don't have the support of the people that you're protecting, and you don't have the support of the people that you're working for and working with, it's a hard place to be.
They point to Mayor Lori Lightfoot's plans to change the department's foot pursuit policy, following 2 recent police shootings that started with a chase.
It was not a wise idea for politicians to come out and say we're going to change it based on an incident. You jumped in right away, you're saying that incident was wrong. It's a morale issue.
And they say it will be difficult to reverse years of police training.
You've been policing in high crime areas, and you worked midnights, and you worked in the dark, and you've been in alleys and vacant lots. You're going to do what you've been trained to do. You're not just going to stop and say, oh, the mayor just said we couldn't do
One of
this.
those chases resulted in the police shooting of 13-year-old Adam Toledo in Little Village, a split second after the boy appeared to toss his gun behind a fence.
The video was clear. He had a gun in his hand. It's a tough call. He goes to turn. The officer doesn't know if he dropped the gun, still has the gun. His last sight was he had the gun in his hand. And a horrible thing happened. Is it the police's fault? No, I don't think so. The problem happened long before the police encountered that young man.
They're also seeing more of the people they arrest right back out on the street, which they say makes cops question why they're even arresting them in the first place.
Lack of prosecution on the state level. They understand that the police are hesitant about policing. You can smell the fear or the hesitancy of an officer and how they police, right? You take advantage of that. Of course, they feel like they're able to do whatever they can and get away with it.
As for the idea of defunding the police, they say they welcome the concept of more money for support services like social workers and crisis intervention, but
even when you get a CIT person, professional, they're going to need the police there. If you get rid of us, what will you have? Imagine a city without the police. If you think it's bad with the police, imagine it without the police.
And as African-American police officers, there are special challenges, like being sent to some white neighborhoods.
They may say, I don't want you, send me another officer. Well, the officer knows what that means. That means send me a white officer.
I come from a community of African Americans who were policed by some of those racist cops. And I know what happened. I've been on the job for over 20 years, and I've had to stop some racist cops from doing racist things.
As for their union, they're not fans of the FOP.
I think they're awful. I think that how they respond to national crises and police shootings is almost like things you would say to your guys in the basement when you're having a couple of beers.
If there's one thing these 3 veteran officers want you to remember,
I wish there was a way where people realize that we are human, just like them. We have families, we cry.
We're human beings, and when we put that uniform on, it doesn't stop bullets.
Dane Placco, Fox 32 News.